All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at a brand new framework from Databricks called MemAlign, and it's designed to solve one of the most frustrating problems in AI right now. How do you get an AI to judge quality the same way a human expert does? It's a huge challenge, and MemAlign has a really clever solution. So let's dive in.
It all starts with this question, right? You've probably seen this happen. You build a great AI agent, you ask an LLM judge to check its work, and the LLM comes back and says, "Yep, A plus, looks great." But then your lead engineer takes one look and says, "No way, this is totally wrong." That disagreement? It's a massive roadblock for actually using AI in the real world. So what is going on here?
Well, the heart of the issue, it really boils down to a huge gap in what we call domain knowledge. See, an off-the-shelf LLM judge, it knows all the general rules of the road. But a human expert, a subject matter expert, or SME, they're not just looking at general rules. They're judging based on very specific, often unwritten internal business logic.
And here is a perfect example. We've got a SQL query. The LLM judge looks at it and gives it a big green check mark. The syntax is right, the joins look good, it's going to run efficiently. And you know what? Technically, the AI isn't wrong, but the human expert immediately flags three huge problems. First, it's using raw data tables instead of the company's official certified view. Big no-no. Second, it forgot to filter out canceled orders. And third, there's no currency conversion. Now, these aren't small details. These are the kind of mistakes that could have serious financial consequences.
And that right there is the key. The AI isn't failing because it's dumb. It's failing because it's completely missing all that hard-won, specific context that your experts have in their heads. It just doesn't know about your company's internal policies or the lessons you've learned from past mistakes. It's missing those unwritten rules.
So, how have teams been trying to fix this until now? Well, the traditional methods are, let's just say, they're frustrating. They're basically brute force tactics that are slow, expensive, and they just don't scale very well.
First up, you've got prompt engineering. This is where you try to cram every single rule and exception into the prompt itself. It's incredibly brittle. You fix one little thing and suddenly three other things break. It's like a game of whack-a-mole. Then there's fine-tuning. This is slow, it's super expensive, and it requires a mountain of labeled data from your experts who are already swamped. And finally, you have these things called prompt optimizers. Now, they can be powerful, but a single run can take anywhere from a few minutes to literally hours. That completely destroys any chance of a fast feedback loop for your developers. So if those old methods are hitting a wall, what's the alternative? This is where MemAlign comes in with a totally different way of thinking. Instead of brute force, it actually tries to learn and reason like a real human judge, using this really clever dual memory system. Okay, so the first part of its brain is something called semantic memory. The best way to think about this is as the judge's rulebook. So when a human expert gives feedback, like in that SQL example, MemAlign doesn't just memorize that one correction. It's smart. It extracts the general principle behind it. Like, hey, always prefer certified views over raw tables. This becomes a core rule it can apply to all sorts of future situations.
The second part is called episodic memory. And if semantic memory is the rulebook, this is the judge's library of case files. This is where it stores specific, concrete examples of past judgments, especially those tricky edge cases where it might have messed up before. These become really important reference points when a similar, nuanced problem comes along.
So here's how it all comes together in practice. A new query comes in that needs to be judged. First, MemAlign consults both of its memories. It pulls all the general principles from its rulebook, and then it finds the most relevant past cases from its case files. It combines all of that stuff, the rules, the examples, and the new query, into a temporary working memory. And only then does the LLM judge make its final decision. It's not just following rules. It's making an informed judgment, just like a person would. Okay, this all sounds really elegant in theory, right? But the million-dollar question is, does it actually work in the real world? Well, let's get to the data, because the results here are, honestly, they're staggering. We're talking about massive, measurable improvements in both cost and speed. Just take a look at the cost. Using one of those traditional prompt optimizers to align a judge can cost you anywhere from $1 to $5 for a single run. Now look at MemAlign, 3 cents. We're talking 3 pennies. That's not just a small tweak. That's orders of magnitude cheaper. It makes this kind of thing practical for literally any company. And then there's the speed. Oh man, the speed. Those prompt optimizers can take anywhere from 9 minutes to over an hour and a half. MemAlign does the same job in about 40 seconds. For a developer, that is an absolute game changer. It means you can get feedback from an expert, update the system, and see the results almost instantly. You finally get that fast, interactive feedback loop you've been dreaming of.
But here's the real magic trick. Unlike those other methods, MemAlign actually gets smarter the more you use it. This is called memory scaling. As it gathers more feedback and fills its memory with more examples, its judgment just keeps getting better and better, all without ever having to be retrained from scratch.
So let's zoom out for a second. Why does this matter so much? This isn't just a neat piece of engineering. It fundamentally changes the dynamic between developers, businesses, and their AI. It's a huge step toward building AI systems that we can actually trust.
Stephanie Walter from Hyperframe Research really nails the benefit for developers. She points out that this helps them escape that awful whack-a-mole trap of prompt engineering. You can now add or even remove feedback as business rules change, and the whole system stays stable and predictable.
And then Robert Kramer from Moore Insights and Strategy points out the critical benefit for the business itself. Because MemAlign is so stable, you can align your AI judges without worrying about breaking your production systems. As companies start to use more and more AI agents, that kind of stability is absolutely essential. So, to wrap it all up, what MemAlign brings to the table is a way to build AI that is genuinely scalable, super adaptable to changing business needs, incredibly efficient, and ultimately trustworthy. It finally gives us a way to create AI judges that think less like a generic chatbot and more like our very best human experts. And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. We've just seen a system that can learn complex, nuanced human rules from just a handful of examples, almost instantly. So if AI can learn from us this quickly and this efficiently, what does that mean for the future? What's the next big leap forward for how we and these machines work together? It's a pretty exciting question to think about. Thanks for joining me.